Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to give you some of my thoughts on Doctor Sleep, which came out back in 2019, and of course serves as a follow-up to the film The Shining. Now, to start off, I want to say I'm not someone who has like this massive attachment to The Shining. I'm not really that nostalgic to it. I seen it kind of later in my life, so keep that in mind when I'm talking about the movie. Uh, I like and appreciate The Shining, but it's never been like an all-time favorite for me. Um, although I do, again, appreciate certain aspects to it and understand its, kind of place in the genre. So I kind of held off on seeing this one for a while, but after, seeing so much of like Rebecca Ferguson's work, I knew I had to check out this eventually, being a fan of hers, wanting to see, her play this type of role. And just the premise, it seemed honestly inherently a lot more interesting to me. And I gotta say, I really, really liked Doctor Sleep. For me, I enjoy this movie more than The Shining. Again, don't come for me. That's just my take. And for me, it just the plot and kind of all the actors within it, especially Ferguson and McGregor, and sort of what they do in portraying his psyche and kind of everything around it. It was just a lot more kind of interesting and entertaining to me, personally. It's almost 2.5 hours, but I actually think this is a film that justifies its runtime, and I think they handle it well. They kept it very engaging. I was always really, really willing to pay attention. For like a recent long horror movie, I do think it handles its runtime better than something like, say, like It Chapter 2. And I'm someone that's not as hard on It Chapter 2 as others, but I think Doctor Sleep definitely justifies and paces its runtime better in that regard. Ewan McGregor, I haven't seen him in a ton, but this makes me think I should probably dive into more of his stuff. He gives a very good performance here. I really like how they portray the character of Dan Torrance's psyche. I think they handle it well from both a writing perspective, and, adapting it from the book, of course, and just McGregor's performance. I thought worked really well. And Ferguson as Rose the Hat, one of the best villains in horror I've seen in a long time. Very different thing, but like her and then someone like Samara Weaving in the Babysitter movies have been some of the most like standout, horror antagonists per se, of the modern age, for sure, for me. She has this like charisma and, of course, allure to her, of course, very attractive and charming, but then there's always like this underlying unnerving nature and vibe you get from her too, and she balanced that really well in her performance. I loved and was hooked on every second she was on screen, and just how she's portrayed as sort of like this life force vampire of sorts. I thought was really nicely and just sadistically done without sort of kind of in your face cheap thrill of it or anything. They handle it pretty intelligently, I think, in how they display it on screen, while still being plenty disturbing when they need to be. They're not afraid to fully go for certain things with the thread in this movie either, and I think that was key. I do not have the girl's name, but she plays the main kid on the right here on the poster. I love this poster, by the way. Much better than the one that's just him standing in the doorway or whatever. But she did well too. I don't think like the supporting cast around these three were like necessarily as memorable, but they didn't need to be. This felt like a very personal, very specific character-driven story. I thought I know it's adapted, but I still think it came across very imaginative and was psychologically and visually very interesting. I think Mike Flanagan did a really great job with the camera work and making it feeling it carried over from Kubrick's style in The Shining, but feeling like its own. And I think he stepped it up in his own way too. And just, of course, the whole vibe and atmosphere. But yeah, it sucked me in fairly well. I do think it could be a modern masterpiece. I have to watch it again, and I feel stupid for having waited this long to watch it. But I think it is a great film. I definitely loved it a lot. And there's more I could talk about, but it'd be spoiling it. I guess some of my only gripes would be, I do think, for as, I don't know if I want to say risque, but for as like willing as certain parts of the film are, I do think the ending was a bit on the safe side. Although I do think McGregor or Dan Torrance's story gets a fitting conclusion. I do think like some aspects of the rest of the ending are a little bit kind of playing it safe, which is a little deterring for the rest of it. Just some adjustments here and there I would have made, but maybe that's why I'm talking about it like this, and they're the ones who make them, right? But and it's just kind of a nitpick, I guess. I still like how it all kind of came full circle in the way it did. But yeah, I really can't think of any other issues with the movie. So yeah, I really like Doctor Sleep. I'm giving it at least an A. Over time, it could go to either like an A- or like an A+. We'll have to see. But I loved it. I highly recommend giving it a chance. It's too bad it didn't do better than it did in the box office, but it definitely deserves a serious look and recognition. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.